The story kicks off zooming in on an old wall clock striking exactly 7 in the evening. Right on cue, the little wooden bird pops out to flex the time. In the dim light, some dude picks up the call and drops that he's already reached the drop zone. He checks off the task and mentions it is 19 hours Korean time. The gig is already wrapped up considering the target is taking a permanent nap in a room totally covered in red mess. Checking out his own ruin-stained suit, the cleaner wonders what the only real bummer of this whole situation is. The punchline having to go back to student life rocking a uniform with the name Ryukang Min stitched on it. Holding a smoke at dusk, the young guy points out that this means 0 piece for a smoke break. Bored out of his mind, he complains his craving is off the charts and he'd easily burn through an entire pack if he had the chance. Strolling through the airport crowd, Kang Min flexes that he would have packed his bags to the brim if he knew what was coming. He reminisces how back in the day even kids could score some drinks, but Korea's public laws got a massive update. Looking at the buildings, the young guy notices the nation leveled up into something unrecognizable over 1 decade. It honestly gives the vibe that they dropped a colossal metropolis straight out of the future. On top of that, the streets are packed with flashy high-end rides. He stares in awe as the door of a wildly expensive sports car swings open right in front of him. Kang Min realizes that the cost of living, the environment, and the people's whole aesthetic have gone through a massive glow up. Seeing a couple snapping selfies, he deduces that everything around him took a wild turn. But then his ADHD kicks in and he wonders if the ducks got an insane upgrade too. The shock comes from him staring dead at a giant inflatable duck chilling in the middle of the plaza. Even with all these crazy updates, the cherry blossom trees stayed exactly the same as always. Out of nowhere, a little kid runs by totally hyped, asking his mom if she saw the giant bird. The dad jokes that looking at it gave him the munchies for some stew, and that he already booked a table at a spot. Under a shower of petals, Kang Min just watches the family doing their thing. He takes in the chill scene with this look of absolute wonder. The kid compares the falling petals to flying popcorn, but the dad is quick to hit him with the reality check. Then the guy sweetly tells the kid they are going to get some real popcorn at the movies. Eavesdropping on the whole thing, Kang Min mumbles something and zones out into his own thoughts. The family strolls through the flowery park, happily chatting about movies and school life. The young guy keeps walking his solo path, just feeling the gentle breeze of the place. And he just stands there watching the flowers gracefully falling right in front of him. Suddenly a noise snaps him out of it, leaving him super disoriented. Reaching inside his coat, Kang Min grumbles that a guy cannot get 1 second of peace to vibe with the past. Turns out it was a clunky old tracker beeping nonstop and flashing a location on the screen. Staring at the device, he figures bummer it is time to clock in. A bit later, the pro runs into a sign saying smokes cannot be sold to anyone under 19. Dusk is already painting the sky, bathing the old neighborhood houses in its glow. Staring at a classic market from a distance, the young guy notices the signs are hung way up high. Getting closer to the spot, he gets the vibe that he finally hit a neighborhood where regular folks actually live. The inside seems pretty dark and low-key for that time of day. Sliding the heavy glass door, Kang Min announces he is crashing the party with a quick "excuse me." He scans the aisles and asks out loud if anyone is actually running this joint. Hearing literal crickets, the kid says he will just wait a sec. But he quickly reaches for the shelves, debating if he should just light up outside instead. Out of nowhere, an annoyed grumble pops up right from behind the counter. An older guy crouched down, slurping instant ramen, asks if a high schooler should really be carrying smokes. The young guy plays it cool, instantly claiming he is just running an errand for his old man. Right after, he flexes a shiny, mysterious dark credit card and innocently plays the card that the plastic belongs to his dad. The shop owner glares at the kid with this hardcore, super suspicious look. Kang Min asks to put the purchase on an installment plan, but quickly backpedals, apologizing for the terrible joke. He excuses himself, saying he binge-watched way too many K-dramas overseas and figured the old guy was the classic grumpy shopkeeper. Unfazed, the older dude claps back that he is way off since he also just got back from out of the country. Loving the banter, the kid points out that this is one heck of a coincidence. With a cocky smirk, he playfully adds that there is actually one more coincidence in this plot. Apparently, the target was also stuck in the exact same shady line of work as him. In a flash, Kang Min throws a straight punch right at the old guy's face. But the boomer dodges the critical hit with some seriously insane speed. He figures out in a split second that the kid is a foreign professional cleaner. The old man then tosses his boiling hot ramen broth right at Kang Min, asking if the kid was sent to cancel his subscription to Life. Even with a messy face and broth dripping down, the young guy hypes up the veteran's sharp reflexes. Grabbing the kid by the collar, the older guy accuses him of betraying the agency and taking out his own coworkers. The impact of the block sends Kang Min flying backwards like a ragdoll. Taking advantage of the gap, the young guy goes on the offensive, dropping the memo that his mission is to eliminate the target. The older guy shows some serious agility, backing up down the aisle to dodge the new comp. The wild movement ends up knocking a ton of snacks and tools off the shelf. Mid-brawl, the veteran brings up the dark card the kid flashed earlier. He drops the lore that the agency hands out different colored cards based on a mercenary's ranking, and makes it clear that the black color is the absolute top-tier rank in the game. Basically, it is an ultra-rare drop only trusted to the most elite operatives. Leaning against the racks, the guy admits he had never even heard rumors of a card like that. Kang Min cracks his knuckles with pure ego, bragging that getting hyped up by a veteran feels pretty awesome. The target glares back with this piercing, super dangerous vibe. Brushing the dirt off his fit, the young guy notices the old man asking about his hardware. Throwing his hands up sarcastically, he complains that airport security totally confiscated his piece. Already aiming a cocked revolver at the kid, the man looks massively disappointed by such a rookie mistake. Unbothered, Kang Min snaps the tip of a box cutter and quotes that the #1 rule of their trade is to always pack a blade. Holding the little piece of metal in his mouth, he stares down his opponent with zero fear. In a crazy fast move, the young guy spits the blade right at the old man, bringing up rule #2. Using the distraction like a pro, the MC jumps to deliver a heavy aerial strike. The attack comes down hard, literally making sparks fly on impact. The clash between the two creates a massive shockwave inside the little convenience store. Backing away from the hit, the veteran asks what the point of all this even is. He violently grabs Kang Min by the shirt and demands to know why he ghosted the agency. Casually fixing his tie, the young guy flips the script and asks him the same thing. He argues that a top-tier veteran like him had all the VIP perks, so he does not get why he went rogue. Hearing that, the target just looks down, his face completely overshadowed. The guy then starts rambling about a random can of food. Kang Min listens to the rant about his boring routine, totally missing the metaphor. Pacing around, the older man admits his whole life felt like being trapped inside a tin can. Out of nowhere, he lunges at the kid with a knife like an absolute beast. The kid blocks the strike with some god-tier reflexes. The sheer force of the knife chops one of the canned goods on the shelf cleanly in half. Holding the slice, Kang Min praises the target's metaphor game. With pure sarcasm, the young guy asks if the veteran signed up for some poetry classes. Dropping the jokes, the man guarantees the kid totally gets what he is saying. Right after, the older guy unleashes a furious combo of blade attack. He describes living in the agency as a literal nightmare full of obedient guard dogs. The knife clashes against Kang Min's guard while the veteran yells that this nightmare lasts until the game is over. With eyes full of absolute rage, the target spills his real dream. The guy throws a heavy swing, screaming that his only goal was to just be free. Caught off guard by the sheer anger, the kid is forced to backpedal down the aisle. The boomer gives zero breathing room, pressing the attack with fast, precise slashes. The lightning fast moves tear through the air, completely trashing everything in their path. Analyzing the chaos, Kang Min figures the old guy must have gotten some sort of payout for this. Nearby, the guts of the broken can drip silently down the shelves. Catching his breath, the guy admits he only got one single reward out of it. Looking completely broken, he reveals his prize was his actual family. Staring at a photo, the veteran explains that the agency took them offline as payback for his little escape. Min listens to the tragic backstory with a poker face, staying totally silent. The chat goes on, making it clear the organization basically stalks the families of all their members. The old man attacks again, explaining this is their toxic strategy to keep people from quitting. Dodging with a quick hop, the kid finishes the thought, saying they are basically kept as hostages. The older guy's strike hits a bag of flour, setting off a massive white cloud. On the counter, an apple stabbed by a blade perfectly captures the room's tense vibe. The fruit splits in two while the target cries about how useless his regrets are now. Moving fast, Kang Min drops a devastating kick that launches the enemy backward. Looking down at him, the young guy agrees that it is way too late to hit the undo button. The guy's body crashes hard into the shelves at the back of the shop. While falling, the veteran mumbles that the price tag for his freedom was the lives of his favorite people. The family photo hits the floor and Kang Min totally shocks the old man by saying he still came out on top. Giving him a deadly look, the young guy questions how much nerve it took to keep up a scam like that. Staring at the defeated veteran, Kang Min admits he finds people like him super annoying. The kid drops that he used to swing by this spot a lot and knew the actual owner. He remembers that on that specific day, the shopkeeper looked like he was about to pass out. Freaked out by it, the cleaner says he told the guy to take a chill pill and rest. The MC explains he asked why the dude did not just lock up and catch some sleep. Then Kang Min points right at the photo, revealing the answer he got back then. In the flashback, the real target smiled and asked what would happen to his family if he just stopped grinding. Snapping back to reality, the kid notes that this sounded exactly like what a genuinely good dude would say. The picture is just a front for a caring husband with a sick wife and innocent kids. The young guy steps back, describing someone who literally gave his life to run a tiny convenience store. The dark, messy vibe of the shop totally clashes with the happy little story he just spun. Trashed in the rubble, the veteran freezes when the kid straight up calls him a clown. You can see the pure rage in Kang Min's eyes as he asks for the real motive behind all those eliminations. Standing still in the dim light, he drops the mic, saying this kind of fake excuse boils his blood. With his face hidden in the shadows, the MC completely rejects the toxic idea that suffering somehow equals happiness. Scraping together whatever energy he has left, the older man accuses the kid of also being an agency lapdog just to keep his family safe. That insult makes Kang Min completely freeze up in the middle of the aisle. The old man points out that this is the exact reason the kid plays the loyal guard dog for the bosses. Glaring at the target, the cleaner warns he is about to drop some actual veteran advice. Absolutely ice cold, he declares that family is the literal core of a man's existence. Total silence takes over the shop as the two just stare each other down in the dim lighting. Refusing to take the L, the older guy rushes in for one last desperate swing. Tanking the force of the hit, Kang Min slides back while the guy screams in pure frustration. The kid takes quick steps backwards to dodge the endless hyper-violent swings. The blade rips a lethal horizontal arc, slicing right through the air. Rocking a crazy smile, the target screams that getting cancelled is way better than living as a slave. They both freeze at the exact same time in the same pose, locking in the final result of the brawl. Feeling a slice on his own neck, the veteran complains his knife just was not long enough. After landing the critical hit, the young guy agrees that using a tool like that for this gig was a massive fail. Losing way too much red stuff from his throat, the old man can barely make a sound as reality hits him. He stares at the tiny messy piece of a blade stuck in his hand, totally clueless about how it even got there. On the flip side, the MC holds the base of his box cutter, listening to the boomer ask how he got tagged by something so small. Coldly correcting the target, Kang Min says the real question is how he actually pulled off that trick shot. The young guy smoothly explains that the veteran really should have watched where the blade bounced when he spit it at the start of the fight. Then he drops the third rule of their trade, stressing that you never ever throw stuff blindly in a brawl. Turns out that tiny piece of metal he launched earlier bounced perfectly off a falling knife during the chaos. Completely out of juice, the guy drops to his knees, super salty that he got beat by a random piece of shrapnel. Bleeding out on the floor, the veteran asks if the kid was just trolling him, but the MC shoots that down instantly. Looking at the fake family pic on the floor, Kang Min admits he just wanted to see if there was some juicy secret lore behind the betrayal. Then he adds that it was just business, nothing personal during the fight. The target realizes the massive skill gap and complains that the kid was basically playing on easy mode the whole time. Hearing the veteran say the agency just sent a basic hired gun to end him, the kid spots a major misunderstanding. Crouching next to the guy, he lifts his chin and lets him know he absolutely did not fly to Korea just for him. Whispering right in the target's ear, Kang Min drops the bomb that he wasn't the main quest, giving the old man one final shock. The boomer is totally mind-blown hearing that the kid only crashed the shop because it was on his way. Staring at the guy who just checked out, the MC confesses that his actual target is someone incredibly sketchy. So sketchy that he is literally ready to risk his own game over just to clear the mission. Looking up at the red sky, the young guy thinks back to the veteran's desperate need to be free. The messy blade on the filthy floor perfectly sums up the brutal end of his rogue run. Propping the old guy's body against the counter, Kang Min genuinely hopes he finally caught that eternal freedom he wanted. Right then, the shop's dusty clock keeps ticking, hitting exactly 8 in the evening. The little wooden bird pops out, tracking the time in that dead silent room. The operative bounces from the spot, strolling down the dark street, and radios in that the side quest is officially complete. Right after he lights up a smoke on the street, noting that the fight was a decent warm-up since the guy was basically an NPC. Watching the sky turn orange, the kid decides it is time to bounce. Walking along the edge of a rooftop, he gets himself in the zone to focus 100% on the actual boss he came to hunt. From way up there, the MC looks over the glowing city while trying to guess where his real target is hiding out. Checking the mess on his suit, he mutters that the mission will go fine, but he is gonna have to hit up the dry cleaners again. Feeling the breeze, the young guy shifts his focus to tomorrow, fully aware of the grind ahead. Next morning, the scheduled launch day for the big job finally hits Anil High School. The massive blue sign at the entrance proves this is the new stage for his mission. Inside one of the classrooms, the students are already chilling, waiting for the bell to ring. A bunch of girls are gossiping while the MC plans to go full stealth mode and finish this fast like always. But then one of the girls looks up, totally distracted by the sound of the door opening. The teacher stops writing on the board the second Kang Min walks in, making the whole room stare at him. Standing right in front of the class, he casually drops that he doesn't have his student ID yet. Pointing to the back of the room, the new kid asks for a smoke, deciding to just cancel the target right then and there. The plot hits reverse by 1 month, showing off a politician's insanely huge mansion in the Angelos area. Gripping a piece in the garden, the young guy admits the setup is pretty wild even for him. Totally surrounded by heavily armed guards, he can't figure out why a house needs a security detail this intense. Pointing his tool right at the owner, the cleaner politely asks the dude to walk himself to his own grave. The suit guy is Manuel Santos, the heavy-hitting local politician who gives the intruder a dead serious look. Showing zero panic about getting popped, the politician takes the insane demand like an absolute boss. Hugging his wife and kid on the floor, he warns the kid that there will be massive payback if he touches his family. The little kid is bawling his eyes out in his mom's arms while she tries to keep him calm amidst the crazy crossfire vibes. With an intense glare, the politician demands they get a free pass, claiming they have zero part in his shady drama. The MC hears the demand to let the hostages go first, just mumbling to himself while doing the math on the situation. Shocking literally everyone there, Kang Min smoothly lowers his piece and agrees to let the mom and kid walk away, zero drama. While the family hides behind the politician, the cleaner drops his lore that he never ever hurts NPCs outside the main contract. Flashing a confident smirk, he claims that rule is hard locked for every single gig he takes. Hearing that, the target lets out a huge sigh of relief and smiles, saying it's great to know the rules of the game. The very next second, the politician pulls a massive plot twist and yells for all his goons to light the intruder up. Kang Min's face drops, instantly super annoyed that this boomer thought his personal code was just some rookie mistake. With his piece ready, Manuel admits he was actually terrified, thinking the kid was one of Bathala's legendary agents. The camera cuts to the flashy glowing outside of a massive city building, the Bathala Casino Hotel. Inside, the staff is dealing cards in a spot totally designed to drain the wallets of millionaire VIPs with crazy high stakes. On the surface, the giant gold room packed with tables just looks like a standard super busy casino. But behind the scenes, there is a totally locked down VIP zone running just for top-tier clients. Chilling in a fancy chair, a mystery client notes that it takes some serious guts to accept a hit job out in the open like this. The blonde dealer keeps her professional poker face and claps back that the casino's real business operates way outside the government's radar. The guy is totally amazed by the flex and realizes the rumors about this place being the underworld's holy grail are actual facts. The worker walks up to the table and guarantees the target will be cancelled, pointing out the client wouldn't be here if he didn't believe the hype. With crazy slick hands, she spreads the cards perfectly across the green felt, bragging that they only work with the top 1% of cleaners. The shot focuses on a bunch of cards lined up perfectly representing the organization's massive roster of lethal operatives. The blonde shows off the options and invites the VP to pick the card that will handle the messy job. The guy checks out the deck and nods, totally aware that the operative's skill level matches the card's rank. He fixes his suit in silence, overthinking which card is the absolute best pick to guarantee the guy gets zeroed. Making up his mind, the client slides a card across the felt and locks in the terrifying ace of spades for the gig. The dealer checks the pick and hypes up his choice, confirming this agent is literal god tier. Right after, she makes sure to warn him that since this is their most broken unit, the invoice is going to be astronomically high. Without even blinking, the mystery guy orders his crew to drop a literal mountain of cash on the floor, totally stunning the dealer. The blonde scoops the card while the guy demands priority shipping on the job and asks for the operative's current coordinates. The plot jumps back to the messy scene in Angelos, proving the kid's rule of never touching innocent bystanders. Totally chill, surrounded by sleeping guards, Kang Min lights up a smoke and wraps up by saying he only claps back in self-defense. Standing over the wrecked security team, the young guy reminds the politician that he was the one who hit the aggro button first. Right then, the target's widow breaks down crying, hugging her kid in the middle of the absolute chaos. Even with the whole disaster, the MC genuinely apologizes for putting her husband offline. Looking down at the politician's body, the kid promises that one day he'll face the karma for all his toxic moves. Time skips forward and the scene jumps straight to the courtyard of a Korean school. Inside the classroom, the teacher complains to the students that he still hasn't received the new kid's paperwork. With zero hesitation, Min kicks the door open and casually asks if anyone can spot him a smoke. The teacher is totally mind blown by the sheer audacity of this kid crashing his class like that. Super tilted by the disrespect, the teacher asks who he is, and the young guy casually drops that he is the transfer student. After that, the kid greets the class super casually, like busting in was just a normal Tuesday. After writing on the board, he claims his name is Ryu Kang Min, rocking his fake ace of spades alias. Then he straight up lies, claiming he is from the Daejeon area to keep his Bathala gang lore a secret. For the pro, chilling at a school in the capital is the ultimate cover to quietly cross out his new target. He literally enrolled as a basic student just to dodge the cops while doing the dirty work. After all, trying to pull off crazy loud executions in a high-security zone would be a total fail. Checking out a cute girl in class, the young turnally that his parents probably had the exact same logic. While some edgy-looking dude looks bored out of his mind, the operative decides he just wants to soak up the high school vibes for a bit. Flashing a friendly smile, the young guy asks everyone to keep it chill before he inevitably has to cancel his target. The flashback hits again, jumping to the criminal group's fancy secret casino. The dealer drops the intel to the client that the target is a Korean local currently crashing in Seoul. Thinking about the map, the VIP nods but warns there is a massive glitch in the request. The guy admits the contract has a super toxic detail, leaving the woman totally confused. The ultimate boss level hurdle is that they have literally zero clue about the victim's actual identity. The blonde is shook by how wild this is, especially given the insane price tag for the job. Sliding a piece of paper across the desk, the man explains the only data they farmed is the dude's name. And he emphasizes there are zero physical stats or address pins to make the hunt easier. Staring at the blank paper, the employee realizes there are no selfies or location tags at all. Snapping back to the present, Kang Min stares at the class roster, stressing over how much it sucks to only have a name. Instead of whining, the kid actually finds the lack of data a pretty hype challenge. Trying to speedrun this, the cleaner had already done a quick sweep before the bell even rang. Roaming the halls, the young guy figures the target absolutely has to be rostered in this exact homeroom. The MC posts up right outside one specific classroom, just keeping his hands in his pockets. Staring at the class sign, he mutters that the biggest L here is that the target loves skipping class. Locked in to fix this glitch, the operative opens the door super chill, cooking up his next move. Instantly, he catches a squad of bullies pressing some kid on the floor between the desks. The new kid's eyes lock onto an empty chair, weighing the guy he needs is Abuol. With zero fear, the young guy steps to the bullies and asks why they are blocking the entrance. One of the tough guys instantly loses his chill, grabbing Kang Min's shirt and talking trash about his attitude. Using the close range, the cleaner drops a brutal kick right into the bully's gut. The sheer force makes the massive dude literally fly crashing hard into the classroom desks. Totally ignoring the chaos he just started, the new kid cracks a joke about the door being broken. The cute girl spots his entrance and is completely shook by the new guy's crazy intro. Super chill in the middle of the mess, the cleaner overhears whispers confirming he is the new transfer. The girl walks up super curious and asks why someone so chaotic is just flying solo. Playing it cool, the MC just replies that he has zero mutuals at this new spot. When recess hits, the cleaner figures it is the perfect window to trigger Plan B. Hiding in a dead zone, he finally gets to take a drag of his smoke to chill out. The kid blows out the smoke, looking relieved, just crouching next to the school dumpsters. Out of nowhere, the cute girl pops up, joking that he smokes like it is some kind of Olympic sport. She crouches down next to him and starts chatting, trying to fish if he is really from the boondocks. The tattooed bully from the earlier brawl also rolls up, totally hyping up the new guy's energy. Kicking it with the group during break, the MC focuses on building up his fake student persona. The big dude starts dropping lore about crazy fights and parties to make the new kid feel like part of the squad. The girl gets super hyped over rumors that the new guy absolutely trashed a karaoke joint and caused pure chaos. Keeping his real background low key, the operative downplays the whole thing and passes the chaotic credit to the tattooed guy. Right then, the bully holds out his hand, calling a truce and pitching that they should be bros from now on. The MC shakes his hand, instantly logging them as his very first mutuals in the country. When the bell rings, the squad walks down the school stairs, just soaking in the sunset vibes. They stroll down the sidewalk super hyped while brainstorming their post-school plans. Kang Min asks if they are heading to cram school, and the big guy complains that his ride is already here. Whining nonstop about the grind of studying, the dude kid admits he has zero motivation to go. He drags himself toward the yellow school bus, grumbling that it feels like he is being held hostage. The MC watches the bus roll away, suddenly totally isolated on the crowded sidewalk. The chill vibe of the street makes the cleaner overthink the stuff his buddy just said. Seeing a dark van drive off triggers some heavy flashbacks to the days he used to cry for his parents. In a super dark memory, a tiny kid is crying his eyes out, terrified, inside a pitch black shipping container. A deep voice orders the crew to toss the kid onto a boat, traumatizing little Kang Min. The little guy just hugs his knees, totally confused by the nightmare happening around him. A bunch of faceless guys lock in the kid's fate, ordering him to be shipped straight to Angelos. Snapping back to now, the young guy mourns how that tragedy basically deleted his childhood. He walks alone, thinking that if none of that glitchy stuff happened, he'd be living a legit, normal high school life. Suddenly, the cute girl bumps hard into his back, totally shattering his emo thoughts. Grabbing his arm so she doesn't faceplant, she laughs and jokes that she almost wiped out. The two of them keep walking side by side, reminiscing about their crazy intro from earlier today. The student asks if he is heading straight to his base, and the cleaner nods, blaming it on first-day burnout. The girl gets super close to the MC, letting out a heavy sigh that screams ulterior motives. Then she drops a super suggestive hint, asking if he wants to go somewhere to blow off some steam. Already inside a room lit with pink neon, Kang Min is actually surprised by how chill the AC is. The young guy gets mildly spooked when the girl starts shedding her jacket, casually praising how soft the bed is. Standing away from the door, the girl doubles down on her offer while he just sits there buffering. Pointing to a next-gen console, she tells him he can game and binge TV for as long as he wants. Then she flexes a massive snack just in case the munchies hit him. The student slowly moves closer, her sketchy intentions on full display. Flipping her hair back, she drops a hint that he could try something else that tastes good too. Dropping her clothes, she ends up in just her underwear and tells the new kid to pick his player. The girl crawls onto the bed on her knees and asks exactly how he wants to start this co-op session. The MC starts sweating cold, totally glitching out, trying to come up with a response to this wild scenario. Suddenly, a whole squad of dudes busts into the room, flashing their cameras, totally exposing that this was a giant prank to cancel him. The bullies are dying laughing, thinking this humiliating setup is absolute peak comedy. Recording Kang Min's face, one of them talks trash, saying the new kid is already wetting himself in fear. Fixing her top, the girl is crying from laughing so hard, asking if her acting was Oscar-worthy. The MC asks what the point of this whole toxic prank is, but the bully claps back that he's the one who needs to answer that. Putting the new kid in a headlock, the tattooed dude drops his real name and leaks his hometown info. The bully brings up some mutual they know from the MC's old school. He drops the tea that the rumors said the new kid was basically a servant who fetched drinks for the cool kids. The vibe in the room gets super heavy as the bully gets ready to expose the whole lie. The guy explains that the mutual actually has a liver condition since childhood and literally cannot drink alcohol. Laughing his head off, the big dude brags that he called the guy and found out he didn't even know who Kang Min was. Pacing around, the gang leader concludes the new kid just wanted to fake a hardcore reputation at the new school. Kang Min throws his hands up like he's surrendering, listening to them mock his indoor smoking stunt as pure cringe. Out of nowhere, the bully slaps the cleaner across the face super hard, calling him a total clown. Tanking the hit with zero reaction, the young guy hears that from now on he is the class's official punching bag. The bully gets right up in his face, deciding it is time for round 2 of the beatdown. Going totally unhinged, the leader grabs the MC's shirt with both hands. In a wild move, the bully rips the new kid's clothes straight open, just trying to test his limits. The tattooed guy's expression drops instantly, totally paralyzed by what he just uncovered. Completely shook, the bully backs off, dropping the new kid's ruined fit onto the motel floor. The torn shirt exposes the young guy's back, which is covered in something nobody saw coming. Kang Min's memory jumps back to the casino where he was buffering over the super vague hit contract. The dealer pulls the target's file back, giving the vibe that the meeting is officially over. Rejecting the file, the cleaner demands they cancel the gig right on the spot. When asked why, he points out there are a million dudes with that name and wiping them all out is terrible logic. The young guy stresses how sketchy it is to fly to the country with basically zero data for the job. Staring at the plane tickets, he remembers the strict rule that he has to bounce back to HQ right after every job. The MC feels the heavy weight of his duty, totally aware that his family memories are the leash tying him to the agency. Looking super depressed, the kid admits he's terrified of choking the mission if his desperate need to see his family takes over. The Joker card just sits on the table while he thinks about how brutally the organization hunts down traitors. But the blonde cuts through the silence, promising him that he has literally zero reason to stress. The worker puts on her serious face and warns him that this quest is unlike anything else in their catalog. Standing in front of the agency's logo, she drops the intel that the loot for this gig is absolutely game-breaking. The woman offers him 100% freedom and a permanent exit from the toxic assassin syndicate. The piece is slammed onto the documents, locking in the ultimate deal. The young guy is totally stunned, just mumbling the word freedom, like it's some myth he can't process. Ice cold, the dealer repeats that he won't ever have to report back if he manages to cross out the main target. Back in the modal room, the bully can barely speak, absolutely terrified of the boss-level threat standing right there. The girl and the other guys are frozen in pure panic, their brains totally blue screening. With his clothes shredded, the cleaner flexes an insanely buff physique covered in deep hardcore battle scars. Flashing an evil smirk, the MC decides that choosing violence is officially the only option. He remembers his personal rule about only clapping back at NPCs if they aggro first, which totally justifies his whole stealth build. Staring down the squad, Kong Min announces super loud that this is his absolute unbreakable personal policy. Moving at hyper speed, the cleaner drops a brutal punch that completely wrecks one of the bully's faces. Capitalizing on the stun, he throws a devastating kick that sends another dude flying across the room. The girl watches the absolute massacre, completely mind blown by the young guy's unhinged aggro. Another bully screams in agony after eating a combo that leaves him bleeding in the middle of the wrecked room. Standing over his victims, the MC casually fixes his ruined fit and complains about how hard it is to nerf his own stats. The leader is sweating buckets, going into a full panic attack when the cleaner calls up the next player in line. Slowly rolling up his sleeves, Kang Min gives them this demonic look and announces the real game is just starting. The plot rewinds 6 years, locking onto the Bathala organization's super isolated isle. Massive speakers blast the warning that 7 minutes of the survival challenge have already ticked by. The announcement echoes over the empty beach, warning that there are only 3 minutes left until the timer hits 0. Deep underwater, the narrator wonders if the rookie is just going to float there until he becomes shark snacks. The shot reveals young Kang Min sinking fast, chained to a ridiculously heavy metal grate. Handcuffed to the rig, the kid is struggling like crazy to hold his breath at the bottom of the ocean. The boy's arms strain against the metal while the timer hits the 8th minute of this absolutely brutal exam. The speaker system coldly notes that the tiny blood vessels in his lungs are probably popping from the insane pressure. The chill surface of the water completely hides the deadly boss fight happening down below. Suddenly, the massive chains get yanked violently all the way back up to the surface. A tiny octopus flops onto the sand right as the kid finally gasps for a massive lungful of oxygen. Collapsed on the beach, the student breathes heavy, grumbling that he was 2 seconds away from becoming seafood. Sprawled out in the middle of nowhere, the young guy talks to his late grandma, promising he isn't logging out of life quite yet. Still fighting for air, the rookie tries to stabilize his breathing after almost getting deleted by the ocean. Right then, he hears the click of a piece being cocked right at his head, totally lost on what's happening. The blonde coach aims his tool straight at the kid, bluntly stating that he blew the time limit by exactly 1 minute. Realizing he's about to get sent to the lobby, the kid plays with the octopus and asks his grandma to let him pick how he goes out. Out of nowhere, a blast shatters the air, scaring off the birds while a knife flies at crazy speed. The dark flag of the criminal syndicate whips wildly in the island's heavy wind. Getting tagged directly, the glasses dude groans as he realizes his own hand just got pinned. With his hand pinned to the pole, the coach mocks the kid by sarcastically repeating the word grandma. Then he actually praises the kid's big brain move to use the environment to dip, calling it peak mercenary logic. Looking closely at the kid, the guy asks if that wild throw was just a desperate ultimate move before dying. Holding the squid, the rookie claps back, asking if the coach thinks he has a peanut brain since doing that was literally day 1 stuff. He calmly explains that the first round in the chamber is always a blank to prevent stupid team kills. Popping out the mag, the coach nods at the logic and adds that from this point on the ammo is 100% real. But Kang Min is already aiming another piece right at the veteran's face, ready to test if that loot is actually lethal. The sound of another pop scares the local birds, officially locking in his status as a pro cleaner. Back in the present, the late night hours creep over the glowing neon signs of the local karaoke spots. Inside the trashed room, the bullies are still on the floor after their epic beatdown, serving as the perfect excuse for the brawl. Pinned against the wall, the guys are shaking with fear after witnessing the new kid's monster tier stats. Ready to keep the combo going, the operative cracks his knuckles without breaking a sweat. Letting out a bored sigh, the young guy tries to fix his sleeves and realizes his buttons got totally wrecked. Gulping hard, one of the troublemakers is sweating bullets just watching the MC breathe. Crouched down, Kang Min hunts for the missing pieces, trying to figure out if the fabric got permanently nerfed. He replays the exact moment the boss aggressively ripped his fit just to farm some cheap laughs. The narrator drops the lore that phase 1 of any brawl is making sure it doesn't look like you were the only one throwing hands. After setting that up, the kid casually lifts a heavy fire extinguisher, complaining that he literally just bought this skin. Absolutely terrified, the bully screams, trying to understand why the new kid is obsessing over a school uniform right now. With a heavy swing, Kang Min launches the cylinder at the guy, warning him that he'll be wearing hospital gear real soon. Trying to escape, the other kid sprays foam at the assassin while loudly flexing his premium health insurance. But the cleaner emerges from the dust cloud looking like a literal sleep paralysis demon, pointing out that he himself doesn't have any insurance. The kid starts stuttering as he watches the MC drop the metal tank, going into full panic mode, realizing it is about to be a hands-only boss fight. Grabbing the bully by the face, the young guy decides to use pure physical damage to teach the squad some manners. With zero hesitation, he lands a brutal knee strike, promising the dude is definitely going to be cashing in that insurance payout. Right after, the operative grabs the gang leader and yeets his body straight into the furniture. The girl and the last standing bully watch the absolute slaughter happening right in front of them, completely paralyzed. The guy takes the full impact straight to the face on the bed, cementing Kang Min as a legit S-tier threat. Shaking uncontrollably, the student grips her busted phone while the bodies groan all around her. The boy is sweating cold, staring at the demolished room, but Kang Min just strolls up and mentions he has one simple question. The girl lets out a panic scream while the guy nervously tries to argue that hitting girls is totally against the rules. Ignoring the whining, the MC stays locked on his main quest, farming for intel on the gang's 5th member. He lists off the target's stats, pointing out it is the dude from the other class who's always ditching. Slowly walking up to the duo, Kang Min demands the guy drop his location, putting the kid instantly on defense. Flashing a deadly look, the new kid claps back, asking if getting the dude's coordinates is against the rules too. The boy's face instantly melts into a crying mess of panic when the cleaner gets right in his personal space. Driven by pure survival instinct, the coward turns around and sprints for the hallway, screaming his lungs out. At the door, the runner makes excuses that he'll get jumped if he snitches, deciding a risky escape is the better play. The door slams brutally against the wall, dropping a massive sound cue in the room. Super slowly, the hinges squeak as the wooden door bounces back into the room. Playing it cool, the cleaner honestly promises he won't deal any damage if the guy just turns back. Already hiding in the bathroom, the guy slows down and mutters how relieved he is to have lost his aggro. Checking the empty hallway, he freezes up, totally baffled by how the new kid vanished that fast. Instantly, the pro spawns right behind him, choking him out with the shower hose and sarcastically praising his stealth attempt. Gasping for air, the kid flails around, crying and dumping his tragic backstory about wanting to win movie awards. Kang Min yanks the hose with full force, totally wrecking the shower fixture right onto the kid's shoulder. Glitching out from the insane pain, the boy loses his mind and starts babbling about having natural acting talent. Exploiting the target's stun animation, the MC delivers a kick straight out of a vintage action flick. The raw power of the hit sends the kid flying, completely shattering the glass shower door into a million pieces. The busted pipe sprays water everywhere, soaking the broken glass all over the dark floor. The guy passes out on the tiles while the cleaner's brain is totally locked in on installing genuine nightmare fuel into his victims. In the next room, the girl pulls her own hair and screams, completely mind-controlled by the terror the intruder is causing. Sprinting down the street, the student is crying in pure panic while her partner debates grabbing some scooters to dip. Casually strolling through the wreckage, the cleaner complains that he could have skipped this whole side quest if the guy had just answered the question. The last bully curls up, slapping his own legs and begging them to move faster. Suddenly, a heavy tattooed hand grabs the exit doorknob, completely blocking the escape route. The big tattooed guy stares at the trashed room and starts monologuing about his past as a fighting prodigy. He proudly flexes that he was one of the top picks to sweep tournaments and cash out huge. Clenching his dirty fist, the troublemaker whines about how he let his celebrity status slip away. But the flashback of a cracked skull drops the lore that the dude was actually permabanned for dealing a fatal blow to a rival. Totally unbothered, the operative holds his heavy stare, listening to the whole sob story without giving a single crap. Hyped up for a real brawl, the big guy cracks his neck, arguing that he hasn't had a decent PvP match in ages. Looking profoundly bored, Kang Min listens to the kid scream his name with this toxic, unhinged rage. The bully rips his shirt off and charges in, challenging him to a deathmatch until someone hits the floor permanently. With the chaos hitting its peak, the room next door starts shaking from the heavy hits banging against the walls. Chilling in bed, the guy in the next room complains about the racket, whining that the girl next door is being way too loud. Blushing hard, the girl makes up a weak excuse, swearing that her noises were just annoying her partner. Tilted by her guy doing absolutely nothing, the girl covers up and demands he actually do something instead of just listening. The neighbor clicks his tongue in annoyance and decides the ultimate payback is to be just as loud. Still in bed, he tells the girl that from now on they are going to make exactly the same amount of noise. In the wrecked room, the big guy gets yeeted with God tier 4 straight into the room's framework. Hearing the massive thud, the neighbor genuinely thinks his petty revenge strategy is working perfectly. Meanwhile, Kang Min totally pins the leader down, stepping on his neck without even trying. Standing in the dust cloud, the MC critiques the garbage tier architecture of these buildings. Totally unfazed, the young guy explains that deleting the boss makes the entire gang fall apart. Nearby, the schoolgirl frantically tries to open the door, but the lock is completely busted. Spawning like a literal ghost behind them, the new kid coldly announces they have reached the final boss phase. Terrified, the runner tells the girl to push instead of pull and starts begging for his life. The girl drops to the floor crying and begging for mercy, swearing she will do literal anything to avoid taking damage. Watching them absolutely lose it, the cleaner holds out his hand and confesses he never actually wanted to hurt them. Crouching next to the traumatized girl, he explains he just has one tiny request and that this is the absolute best way to cash in a favor. Grabbing the girl's face in a super creepy way, Kang Min stresses that she is the only one who can clear this quest. Pressured by the crazy vibe, the student nods while shaking as the narration confirms that fear turns people into top-tier loyal NPCs. Standing up slowly, the operative decides it is time to boot up the first phase of his actual main mission. He asks the girl straight up about the EMEA student she brought up earlier. The pro wants the exact character stats of this student while the night drags on outside. The scene cuts to the super sketchy dark stairwell of a rundown commercial building. Inside the spot, massive racks are holding PCs and servers that are working overtime. Glued to his phone, one of the goons hypes up the insane amount of cash they just farmed and flexes the W to his crew. Celebrating the massive W, he mentions that just one of the uploads out earned their entire revenue from last year. Chilling in his chair, the boss nods, agreeing that fresh drops are always the best money glitch. The minion glazes the boss, totally agreeing with him and pointing out how aesthetic the food on the table looks. Leaning near the feast, the guy claims that food looking good automatically buffs its flavor. Checking the stats on his phone, the boss announces that the file transfers are skyrocketing at insane speeds. The camera zooms in on the dashboard of an underground site which is practically crashing from the crazy amount of traffic. Watching the clip of the motel brawl, the leader laughs, claiming society is officially cooked. He literally dies laughing, thinking it is wild that people are swiping their cards to watch some shirtless dude completely lose his chill. A massive plate of raw fish is chilling on the desk while the boss glazes the weird video for basically funding their dinner. The crook flexes about printing money even while hiding out in this absolute dump. But one of the crew members starts stressing, pointing out that this viral traffic is going to pull the cops aggro. Unbothered, the leader smirks and tells his bro to stop overthinking and killing the vibe. Pointing at their rig, the boss explains they ripped the file through an ultra-secure backdoor. While he is talking, the minion picks up some food with his chopsticks and finishes the thought about how safe their base is. Raising his glass to the squad, the boss guarantees that not even the National Intelligence Agency could track them down here. Out of nowhere, heavy banging on the iron door totally ruins the group's celebration. The criminals freeze, staring at the entrance, panicking over how anyone got their coordinates. The room goes dead silent as the rock slowly turns from the outside. Trying to keep up his tough guy act, the boss raises his glass, basically daring the intruder to pull up. When the door finally swings open, the minion aggressively demands to know who the guy standing there is. The new arrival, rocking a jacket with a bunny on it, asks if this is the squad running the leaks. Looking super relaxed, the light-haired kid steps right into the gang's command center. Glaring with dead eyes, he repeats the question just to make sure he found the right targets. Sitting in the back, the leader checks out the intruder's haircut and instantly knows this isn't a cop. The crew surrounds the blonde kid and one of them immediately asks which rival guild he is repping. The criminals press him, trying to figure out if he is an NPC sent by the Single or Hookseok factions. Totally ignoring their trash talk, the kid coldly demands they wipe the video off the server. One of the dudes mocks the kid's confidence and tells him to drop his pants so they can meme him. Then the mobster steps up with his hand out, screaming that the kid is gonna wet his pants from fear. Backing his bro up, the bald goon laughs, joking that the room is about to smell terror. But with literal god tier speed, the gangster eats a brutal hit to the face, instantly leaking red. Shaking in pure terror, the hit goon grabs his own messy ear, completely in shock. The goon hits the deck, screaming in agony, holding his wound, while the rest of the squad just freezes. Startled by the loud noise, the bald guy claims his ears are ringing and asks what caused that massive boom. Sweating cold, the gangster feels the freezing metal of the piece pressed right against his face. Without wasting a second, the blonde fires a critical hit right into the guy's leg, zero hesitation. The thud of his body echoes across the carpet, while the rest of the crew scrambles back in absolute panic. Stuttering and shaking, the other minion finally realizes the loud boom from earlier was a literal gunshot. Watching the kid handle the tool like a pro, the heavier guy screams, trying to warn the boss about the threat. Blowing the smoke off the barrel with a stained face, the blonde repeats the command to delete the video. In the back, the leader is having a meltdown, trying to gaslight himself into believing the gunshot was fake. Acting purely on stupid impulse, another goon rushes in, demanding the kid hand over the piece immediately. Without even blinking, the pro drops a point-blank blast straight into the brave idiot's shoulder. Keeping his eyes totally dead, the kid demands the file be taken down again, completely ignoring the body he just dropped. Running around the room, one member screams that the tool is just a modded toy. Trying and failing to calm his squad, he yells that nobody should be scared of fake plastic gear. Totally losing his mind, the boss points and orders the whole squad to rush the shooter all at once. The kid in the patterned jacket shows zero panic and just locks in to wipe the entire squad. In an absolutely insane spray of shots, 3 goons get their heads and chests tagged at the exact same time. The bodies hit the floor hard, making a heavy thud that completely drowns out the yelling in the basement. The camera pans out, showing the shooter standing in the middle of the room, totally surrounded by wrecked bodies. Without even changing his expression, the kid ignores the absolute slaughter and walks the other way. He slowly steps up to a safe bolted to the wall which has these glowing green buttons. Cowering with the cash, the boss can't process how a basic tool caused this much destruction. Sweating bullets, the leader points the piece at his own head, debating if he should just call the cops. But the kid presses his tool right against the back of the boss's neck and orders him to wipe the data right now. He drops a final warning, saying this is the absolute last chance if the guy doesn't want to get turned into Swiss cheese like his bros. Shaking violently, the boss tries to negotiate, asking if deleting the file is really the only objective here. Desperate, he points at the server racks and tells the kid to just trash the hardware however he wants. Totally confused, the boss asks why the victim in the video would go to such insane lengths over a clip. The operative scrunches his face, completely lost, and asks what the heck the guy is even talking about. Right then he spots the phone on the desk playing the video with 2 people in it. The kid reads the file's caption and gets completely triggered about being labeled as the tiny kid in the footage. Noticing the rage, the gangster tries to cover his tracks, saying the guy in the clip honestly does look pretty small. Blinded by pure rage, the MC threatens the guy with the blaster, cursing him out and swearing it was just a bad camera angle. A deafening blast totally wrecks the room while the plate of fish perfectly frames the absolute bloodbath. The night gets deeper, completely muting the empty streets of the neighborhood. Pure silence takes over the front yard of a standard 2-story house. Inside, the dark, empty room is just waiting for the owner to log back in. Only the Anil high school uniform is hanging there, lit up by the faint glow of the streetlights. The school uniform just chills there, forgotten for the rest of the night. Downstairs, dark steps lead straight into a hidden bunker in the house. On the desk, pieces of a disassembled tool share space with a nameplate for Jang Hyun. Chilling in the shadows, Kang Min snaps the rifle parts together, thinking about how carrying pieces is a literal crime in this country. He perfectly locks the heavy barrel into place, deciding that packing heat around here is just way too much effort. The pro clicks the parts together, remembering that most of the gear you find locally is just cheap knockoffs. Leaning the piece against the wall, he checks the scope and gets annoyed by the sheer amount of fake merch on the market. Keeping his finger steady on the trigger, he pulls the pin, listening to the crisp mechanical click. Looking down the sights, the MC coldly guarantees that the tool in his hands is 100% legit. The next morning, the new kid squats in the courtyard and demands some nicotine with zero filler. Still bruised up from yesterday's raid, the terrified kid rushes over to hand off his stash to the new boss. Kang Min calmly puts the smoke between his lips for a light. Immediately, the bully covered in bandages lights it up like an absolute NPC. Looking at the bullies acting like his personal servants, the pro sarcastically thinks to himself that his innocence is officially gone. Right then, the girl nervously walks up, asking what the deal is with this weird courtyard meetup. Blowing out smoke, the new kid announces it is time to wrap up the chat they paused yesterday. He demands the student drop the lore on the guy from the other class who keeps going AF. Suddenly, some random students walk by and get seriously creeped out by the squad's heavy vibe. One kid complains out loud, wondering why everyone is acting so incredibly sus. The girl ignores the nosy NPCs and gulps hard, clearly terrified just hearing the missing kid's name. Spotting her panic, the MC asks in a dark tone if the guy got hit with a tragic game over. A flashback of wrecked bodies in a dark room perfectly proves just how massive the threat level is. The messy face of Jang Hyun-soo pops into her head, confirming the missing dude is a total menace. The camera pans to an arcade shooting game, flashing that the round is officially over. Staring at the plastic shotgun, the girl confirms that the controller mechanics are actually working perfectly. After testing the rig, she lets out a sigh, looking super salty about the arcade cabinet. The student complains about the terrible aim calibration and admits she wants to literally break the toy piece in half. Giving her a weird look, Kang Min asks if she served in the military and warns her that she's already killing his vibe. Frustrated, the girl points at the prize wall, admitting she really wanted the top-tier loot. Then the pro grabs the plastic pistol from the game, sarcastically asking if she actually wanted the plushie. In a flashback, the real Hyun-soo is holding that exact same plastic piece, telling her to hold on a sec. In the memory, the girl hypes up the guy's form, and he laughs it off, lying that he's a total noob at shooting. His perfectly placed shots absolutely shred the bullseyes on the arcade targets. Mind blown by his accuracy, the girl gets super hyped and asks if he is going to unlock the ultimate prize. His fire rate speeds up, completely destroying the targets as his high score goes to the moon. In the flashback, those same bullies watch in awe and glaze the guy's insane sniper skills. Hitting the max score limit, Hyun-soo tosses the epic loot backward and tells the girl to hold onto it. The student hugs the plushie and acts super cute to show her gratitude, calling the upperclassman a sweet nickname. Grabbing the guy's arm, the girl turns on the charm and swears she'll pay him back for it later. Caught off guard by how forward she is, the repeater just freezes, blinking like an innocent NPC. Recalling a day out on the street, the friends were spinning around acting like elephants while Hyun-soo told them to watch their step. Back at the arcade cabinet, Kang Min mumbles to himself, confused about what kind of loot the girl was actually promising. Fully locked in, the MC cocks the plastic revolver with super fast hands. Flexing pure confidence, he gets ready to shoot and claims it is literally all just muscle memory. Over the weekend, the girl is walking by herself near the bus stop, whining about how bored she is. Rocking a leather fit with her hair down, the student looks completely over it as she walks. Walking through the crowd, she wonders why the new kid is so obsessed with the repeater she was trying to delete from her brain. Sneaking up from behind, Kang Min totally ruins her vibe by asking why she is talking to herself in public. Strolling with his hands in his pockets, the pro mocks the scene, asking if her brain is glitching out. Spotting the guy's jacket, the girl is totally shocked by how perfectly their outfits match. The operative grumbles impatiently while the girl demands to know why he summoned her on a weekend. His face changes instantly and the new kid hits her with a dark, genuinely terrifying stare. The student takes a step back, instantly remembering the sketchy deal they made in that wrecked motel room. The flashback of his heavy hand grabbing her face hits her hard, right alongside his demand for a favor. But then the MC just holds up his phone, excitedly asking if this is the absolute best district in Seoul. Keeping his hands in his pockets, the kid repeats his weird request for her to give a country boy the grand city tour. A massive wave of relief hits the student when she realizes this dangerous favor is literally just hanging out in the city. She finally exhales, considering the raw power he showed in the fight made her think he wanted her to do something fatal. Watching Kang Min get totally amazed by some random pigeons, the girl decides this deadly new kid is actually just a massive clown. Feeling like a boss, the MC suggests they grab food, totally convinced he has already rizzed her up. Walking down the crowded street, the young girl asks if he has any specific food cravings he wants to knock out. Kang Min excitedly grabs his phone, saying he found an absolute lot. The new kid flips the camera and snaps a selfie of her right up in her face, completely startling her. Meanwhile, hiding in the shadows, some mystery dude is quietly taking photos of them from a distance. Finally, sitting in a super fancy classic restaurant, the operative respects the spot's heavy reputation. He is totally overwhelmed by the giant table packed with dishes and jokes about them trying to act like royalty. Slouching over the table with zero energy, the student figures he has zero dating experience because his taste is total garbage, but then she realizes she was being way too toxic and apologizes for being so brutally honest. Dropping his head in a sad way, Kang Min drops the lore that he has literally never had any real friends. Staring at the feast, the kid adds that he doesn't even know what a normal eating schedule looks like. Hearing his tragic backstory, the girl actually feels a bit moved by her classmate's rough past. While he serves her, he hears her totally ruin the emo moment by complaining that this deep talk is putting her to sleep. She tells him to zip it and eat, whining that this meal is completely wrecking her diet stats. Ignoring her rant, the MC happily chooses food, totally amazed by the flavor, and asks if it isn't the best thing ever. Pulling out his camera again, the kid makes a joke about the exotic taste, leaving her totally confused. In a flash, Kang Min wipes her face and uses the moment to snap another surprise photo of her. As the day goes on, they end up chilling at a super quiet zoo during the bright afternoon. Suddenly, some animal lets out a terrifying screech, completely shattering the chill vibe. While the animal spits on the new kid, who is having a blast, the girl feeds another one, claiming they are super friendly. Trolling the situation, the kid records the angry animal while the girl asks how he didn't notice the beast's aggro aura. Dying laughing at the chaos, the MC saves the super casual moment with her on his phone. The day wraps up and they hit up a modern art gallery right in the middle of the city. Walking around, Kang Min pretends to be a critic, saying that art is just super deep, but he gets completely mind blown when he reads the plaque and realizes the masterpiece is literally just a urinal. The girl asks if it moved him emotionally, and he jokes that the vibe is basically like flushing your feelings away. Snapping a pic of the reflection, he realizes they are actually touring a plumbing fixtures expo. Later that night, they are strolling past a super flashy high-end designer store. He boots up the camera again, recording the girl as she walks a few steps ahead. Catching him recording, she tells him to knock it off, and he claps back that he'll stop whenever he feels like it. Putting the phone away, the pro announces his storage is full, and the girl is completely shook by how many pics he took. The kid counters by saying he recorded a ton just to archive how incredibly rare her beauty is. The sky gets fully dark as they enjoy the night breeze walking through the packed plaza. The guy says thanks for the tour, and the girl is just relieved she managed not to fail the quest. Kang Min stops walking and says it would be a total waste to log off now without doing one last thing. He points at a shooting game stall in the park, pitching they play around before heading back to base. The girl thinks the idea is super sus since it is way too similar to her past trauma. The spinning target board is just waiting for the next players to try their RNG on the game. The memory of the real Hyun, Soo getting a perfect score, hits her brain like a truck. Because of that, she stares at the new kid, super curious to see if his stats hold up in the exact same mini-game. The owner hypes the kid up, promising an epic plushie if he manages to land every single shot. Laughing, the boomer teases that it would be the ultimate flex gift for the girl, but warns him that the difficulty is cranked to max. The second he touches the piece, Kang Min realizes instantly that the hardware has been heavily nerfed. The stall owner flexes, swearing that even hardcore military vets would get absolutely clapped here. The MC claps back by asking if the guy wants to bet on it, pointing out the scam is painfully obvious. Staring down the giant plushies, Kang Min says he is going to grab the biggest loot if he clears the board. Handing over the cash, he warns the owner that if he wins, the guy owes him a bonus favor. Super confident in his rigged game, the old man laughs, totally sure the kid is going to fail miserably. But with literal aimbot speed, the new kid blasts every single target without dropping a single shot. The owner's eyes practically pop out of his head, sweating cold and totally stunned by what just happened. Leaning on the counter, the dude cannot even process the kid's god-tier accuracy and screams in pure shock. When the girl asks if he is some kind of secret sniper, Kang Min hands her the tool and claims it's literally his first time playing. Helping his classmate out, he shows her the proper grip and coaches her on how to lock onto the target. Hiding in the shadows, the stalker snaps pics of this super cozy romantic moment between the two. Late night finally hits, wrapping up the city in darkness after their insanely long side quest. Walking back home, the MC carries the massive loot, complaining that the plushie looks absolutely goofy. The student carries her prize, questioning how that thing is considered top-tier loot, but admits the texture is pretty fire. Walking without saying a word, the vibe between them starts getting way heavier and more serious. Stopping in her tracks, she calls the guy by his name, clearly buffering over everything that just happened. Showing her screen, the girl asks if his big secret request was literally just to post a selfie of them on her feed. Letting out a shy little laugh, the girl tries to hide how mind-blown she is that his demand was so incredibly basic. Once they are in the elevator, she calls him out, saying he totally used the whole tour as a strat to rizz her up. The girl brings up all the face touches and random surprise photos he spammed during their run. Staring at her screen, she asks if he actually thought that fake smile was going to work on her. Rubbing the back of his neck, feeling super awkward, Kang Min mutters something, totally aware of the thick tension in the room. But really the girl is just burying her bright red face into the plushie, admitting to herself that his moves were both cute and super annoying. Being nosy, she swipes through her phone to check out the rest of the drops in the gallery. The screen shows all the archives from their museum trip and walking through the crazy streets. With every swipe, the student feels herself catching actual feelings for the guy. Out of nowhere, the elevator ding completely kills the silence, announcing they hit the 5th floor. The AI voice calls out the doors opening while the girl is still totally hyper-focused on the app. Her survival instincts kick in, making her look up as she feels a seriously toxic aura nearby. A bald, super aggressive-looking dude is just camping at the exit, giving them both an instant jump scare. The dark hallway is only lit up by this creepy red, tinted light bulb on the ceiling. Spooked out of her mind, her legs give out and the plushie hits the floor, marking a brutal game over for their chill date. The flashback cuts to a late night where the repeater warns Yan about the sketchy risks of roaming the streets this late. Moving fast, he violently pins her against the wall while the student tries to process what is even happening. Inside the apartment, the guy comments that this spot hits him with heavy nostalgia. He chokes her hard and drops that this is his first time logging back in since that specific day. The scene shifts to a squad of friends chugging drinks and cheering in the room to celebrate. The crew goes absolute goblin mode, screaming and downing drinks together. One of the bullies whines that the booze tastes like sugar water and pitches mixing it with rice. Sitting on the floor, the host of the house tells them to chill out and threatens anyone who barfs in her room. The squad pressures her to chug her glass while the repeater promises he will keep the boys in check. Drinking with them, Yan admits she feels safe since he is a higher level player. Taking the compliment, the guy nods, swearing she can totally trust his word. Time skips and a pile of empty bottles stacks up next to the window. The squad of troublemakers wipes out on the floor, completely passed out from spamming the drinks. Totally debuffed by the alcohol, the student also passes out on her back on the mattress. Right then the guy walks over and pokes the girl just to check her current status. Him whispering the girl's name totally cuts through the dead silence of the room. He runs a test to see if she's actually AFK after taking down that much booze. The girl stays completely frozen and unresponsive on the bed. Breathing heavy, the delinquent creeps closer, totally driven by some seriously toxic urges. Suddenly, a piercing scream for help completely shatters the dead quiet of the late-night street. Cutting back to the current hallway, the new kid coughs hard and complains his life got cancelled because she snitched. He vents that he got banned from school and completely disowned by his own family tree. On the floor, the kid blames Yan for all his massive L's, but she fires right back at his toxic logic. With eyes full of rage, the girl calls the guy a completely disgusting creep. The MC freezes for a second, looking like his brain is buffering, trying to process her words. Then his expression snaps and he yells that the girl was the one who pulled the aggro first. The new kid accuses her of initiating the riz and the physical contact while promising him favors. He doubles down, saying she used to treat him like a VIP and constantly hyped him up. Holding his device, the guy guarantees the girl threw herself at him right from the start. The student glares at him, gripping her own phone, and claps back that she literally used the exact same strat on him today. The guy pulls up the online pic and accuses the girl of dropping the post on purpose to start drama. Rocking a super creepy smile, he claims she just wanted to make him jealous. The girl's eyes go wide, completely terrified by how unhinged this dude's logic. The pro keeps playing along, saying she queued up for the same game stall just to get his attention. Clenching her fists, the girl feels her rage meter filling up with every single piece of garbage he spits out. Moving fast, she throws the plushie straight at the guy's face and calls him a literal psycho. Dodging the hit, the pro suggests his classmate needs to book a therapy session ASAP. Panicking, the girl pulls out a piece and fires, ripping the plushie straight out of the air. Locking eyes with him, the girl drops the lore that she recorded herself training solo after the traumatic event. Aiming the shaking tool, she swears she has been camping for this exact moment for a long time. Gripping the hardware tight, the young girl warns she is about to unleash all her grinded stats. The MC gives an unhinged smile and claims he is totally hyped to see her game, but out of nowhere the girl lets out a terrified scream when the guy dashes right at her. In one jump, the operative covers the student's mouth to mute her audio entirely. Pinning the classmate in the hall, the new kid talks to nobody, saying he wasn't expecting players to drop in this early. A mystery dude hiding on the stairs admits that planting a tracker really paid off. The scene cuts to a gross alley where the surveillance team was running their stealth op. The goons check their screens, confirming the leaked pics of the couple that were sent over. The actual repeater analyzes the photos of the duo taken during their day out. Totally blinded by jealousy, the psycho curses out the MC with absolute pure hatred. He mutters angrily, replaying the memory of the student hyping the guy up back in the day. His brain loops Min, forcing the girl to take cute couple pics just to avoid taking damage. Completely missing the strat, the criminal scratches his head, realizing the operative doesn't even actually like the girl. Staring at the building, he asks himself what the actual point of this whole fake relationship even is. Back in the hallway, the pro finds the real target's full name for the first time. The student is totally shook while Kang Min laughs at how easily his basic strat worked. The real Hyeon Soo steps out of the shadows, asking just how desperate the cleaner really is. The criminal drops into a defensive stance, checking out his rival's stats up close. Being a troll, the pro asks if he is the girl's main romantic duo partner. Sighing because he is tilted, the repeater pushes forward with his tool drawn. The MC flashes a cocky smirk, swearing that the whole plot makes total sense now. The target fires a quick shot, but the operative dodges it and rushes straight at him. The repeater is completely mind-blown by the guy pushing him so aggressively with zero warning, pointing the piece right at the rival's face. Kang Min claims he is going to inherit the girl once the dude's account gets deleted. His finger chills on the trigger, totally ready to hit the end game on this fight. Exploiting the heavy tension, the criminal talks trash, asking if he is really that desperate for the girl. The scene pauses for a second in the dead silent apartment interior. The repeater pitches a 1v1 gunfight where the MVP gets to walk away with the student. He makes sure to heavily flex the stats his own piece before the duel kicks off. With a deadly look, the psycho promises his revolver can send someone to the lobby with just one hit. The story skips to the future where Kang Min is raging hard after seeing the viral video on his phone. He furiously demands to know who leaked it, but admits the camera angle actually made him look pretty good. Wearing a bathrobe after his shower, the young guy blames the tech support NPC for the leak. Drying off, the MC swears he is going to absolutely blast the troll who exposed him. But then a guy in a suit sitting right next to him aims a piece and drops the news that the clip is already globally viral. The intruder asks who he is and what his deal is, while the guy explains the young dude's clip is blowing up the internet. The guy explains that the repeater records himself and practices his moves just to rizz up women. The criminal is completely shook when he realizes the hidden cam in the room was recording his super cringe training routine. With a sinister smirk, the man points out that rehearsing pickup lines alone in bed is some seriously weird behavior. Scanning the young guy's piece, the agent notices the kid is rocking some highly illegal hardware. He looks at the target and guarantees he has the exact skill tree needed to cause massive societal chaos. The suit guy's eyes go totally dark, pulling the young guy's focus in the dim room. Filled with rage, Jang Hyun-soo grabs the dude by the collar, demanding he drop his real username. During the scuffle, the camera keeps recording the messy bed in the background. A pin with a geometric logo shines, confirming the dude represents the secret network agency. Keeping his chill, the man states he works for a guild fully dedicated to farming illegal profits. Unfazed, the suit readies his revolver, dropping the lore that his literal job is scouting high-potential players just like him. Then the agent glazes the repeater's potential, saying he watched the whole stream and the kid's toxic behavior is pure engagement bait. With the piece right in the target's face, the guy drops the official invite for the kid to join their squad. Snapping back to the duel, the MC taunts his rival, asking if he is really that down bad for the girl. Kang Min pitches the 1v1 match and sets the student as the ultimate grand prize. The pro readies his piece and drops a warning about a lethal hidden stat on his revolver. With a dead serious face, he swears that one clean hit from that tool is an instant game over. The cleaner's expression stays absolutely frozen, waiting for the enemy to make a move in the hall. Chuckling sarcastically, the new kid checks the rival's courage stats one more time. Shaking in his boots, the repeater accepts the duel and demands he take the shot. Using the lag time, the pro trolls him, asking if the psycho's ping spiked during the clutch moment. Completely ice cold, the MC shoots the enemy directly in the head. The impact sends the delinquent flying back while he screams in absolute agony. Grabbing his busted face, he instantly realizes the damage isn't matching a lethal hit. On the other side, the cleaner stares at his own tool, totally shocked to see it was loaded with rubber bullets. Rubbing his face, the repeater complains about getting scammed by the promise of real ammo. Slowly getting back up, the kid admits he already thought the piece looked pretty sus. Kang Min grumbles in pure rage, trying to process his own tool's massive epic fail. Holding the fake piece, the delinquent agrees that this entire setup is becoming incredibly cringe. Completely triggered, the kid starts spamming shots all over the room. The pro dodges effortlessly, mocking the rival by saying his attack patterns are way too predictable. Taking advantage of the nerfed bullet speed, the MC rushes in to close the distance. Super curious, he looks at the enemy's revolver and taunts him, asking if that thing is a literal toy. A stray shot hits a dummy and the operative trolls him, saying minors shouldn't be playing with dangerous toys. Analyzing the fire rate, the MC states the hardware is pure and accuses the kid of getting boosted by someone else. Rejecting the accusation, the delinquent tells the cleaner to shut his mouth and go offline permanently. The operative praises the perfectly aligned sights as a masterpiece and brings up the toxic crimes tied to that specific item. Cocking the fake revolver, the boy hears the question of how his account was never permanently banned. Smiling maliciously, the new kid demands the truth about the delinquent's premium protection plan. Aiming at the ceiling, he asks if the network agency is running interference for the kid's toxic behavior. The silver pin flashes in Kang Min's memory, confirming they are dealing with a massive syndicate in Korea. This guild uses low-level teens all over the map, running them as completely independent solo players. The shattered network makes tracking down their main server a near impossible grind. Ultimately, the total lockdown keeps the guild leaders totally hidden in the underworld. Even with the insane difficulty spike, the pro promises himself he is going to wipe out every single one of them. The target's data files are just chilling on the desk inside a top-secret folder. Reading the warning notes about network, the kid figures out the final boss is hiding right inside their rank. The flowchart points to the supreme leader as the main objective he needs to delete at all costs. Interrupting the rival's thoughts, the MC rushes in, demanding he actually pay attention to the PvP match. He presses the repeater, coldly asking if he looks like some NPC you can just ignore. Panicking Hyun-soo sprays bullets everywhere, while the pro reveals he tracked his IP by digging into the guild's lore. For the MC, the blonde kid's basic motive trash. He is literally just a stepping stone for the main quest. Jumping with crazy agility, Kang Min announces the enemy is just the tutorial boss on the way to the final double. The pro lands smoothly after pulling off a sick flip. He quickly snatches a soda can from the trash on the floor. The repeater keeps spamming the trigger, desperately trying to tag the operative in the shadows. Aiming his piece, the hateful kid screams that the new guy's run is officially over. Completely stunning his opponent, the cleaner yeets the can violently right into the shooter's face. The metal explodes against the criminal's face, splashing sticky liquid everywhere. Damaged and covered in soda, the blonde groans while trying to clear his screen. Exploiting the stun, the new kid drops a massive melee strike right on the rival's head. The impact is so heavy it literally shatters a loose tile in the hallway. The pop of a soda tabs silence once while the pro asks if the rival wants to keep mashing buttons. Chugging the soda, the assassin talks trash, calling the knocked down opponent a complete scrub. Defeated and out of stamina, the kid tries to make excuses, claiming he isn't the one who caused all the glitches. With his voice cracking, he holds his injured arm and swears he isn't the main villain of this patch. The camera jumps back to the dark room lit only by the streetlights outside. Sitting on the floor, the guy stares at his phone, obsessively spamming the girl's name. The screen shows a wall of left-on-read text where he was begging for a voice call. Completely tilted by getting rejected, the kid's face twists in pure rage as he starts cursing. The super toxic memory of the girl smiling and hyping up his edgy persona keeps looping in his sick brain. Gripping the piece super tight, the young guy replays the moment she glazed his insane shooting stats. Surrounded by scattered tools on the floor, he curls up and cries, whining about all the hours he wasted grinding. Looking absolutely depressed, the repeater claims he is just a dude whose heart got totally wrecked by his main crush. Drinking his soda, Kang Min trolls him, confirming he really is the victim of his own story, calling his logic absolutely wild. The guy stands up, aiming again, and starts dropping a super cringe monologue about his romantic feelings. Totally unhinged, the kid points the piece and screams at the top of his lungs that he is simping hard for the girl. Trying to justify his insanity, the delinquent swears his love is 100% authentic and not just some casual phase. The young girl stays curled up on the floor listening to the guy's psycho vows of true love. She slowly looks up as she hears the kid's chaotic confession about being madly obsessed with her. Crying a river, the big guy swears his feelings are top-tier genuine. Watching this totally cringe display, the pro hides his hand in his jacket while the target yells that without her his playthrough is pointless. Aiming the revolver, the repeater declares that absolutely nobody else is going to unlock the student. Terrified of a game over, Ha-yan uses the fridge in the hallway as hardcover. Kang Min calls for a timeout, but the kid cries that his save file is already completely corrupted. Totally lost in the sauce, the young guy insults the girl and proposes they co-op in their next respawn. Without wasting another second, the psycho pulls the trigger, unleashing an absolute bullet hell. The shots fly everywhere, completely shattering the glass on that floor. The empty shells bounce around in the air as the deafening noise fills the dark room. The metal scraps keep clinking on the tiles even after his ammo counter hits 0. Out of bullets, the piece locks back with a heavy dry click. Completely out of breath, the kid freezes, holding his empty weapons. Chilling behind the shot-up fridge, Kang Min jokes about how insanely durable domestic appliances are. The MC peeks out with the student, completely amazed that a literal fridge tanked all that damage. Curled up, Ha-yan focuses on the new kid's totally unbothered face after they both barely dodged a wipe. The shooter breaks the quiet, furiously demanding to know who the new kid actually is. He is completely shook that the guy would dive headfirst into a firefight just to carry an NPC he barely knows. Faced with the question, the MC just stands there with a poker face, giving 0 lore drops. Pushing his brain to the limit, the psycho connects the dots, assuming there's some massive hidden agenda going on. The shooter stutters, pointing out that his own theory is way too crazy to be real. He gestures at the trashed room, accusing them of running a secret duo queue before all the chaos started. Disgusted by his own headcanon, the kid screams, demanding someone prove his theory wrong. Flashing a totally creepy smile, Kang Min trolls him, asking if he actually wants the spoiler for this plot. Pushing the rival's mental boom even further, the new kid leans on his classmate and jokes that he is too shy to leak what they were really doing. Blinded by pure jealousy, the big guy insults his rival and rushes in for a totally brain-dead attack. He screams that he is going to permanently delete his opponent, but something drops from the ceiling and completely wrecks him. The kid's eyes pop open, totally confused, as debris rains down right in front of him. Stunned, the boy makes a weird noise trying to process the massive misplay he just made. The pro's foot crushes something on the floor, making a huge mess while the target lets out an absolutely gut-wrenching scream. Grabbing his own completely destroyed hand, the shooter screams in pure panic because he just lost a finger. Flashing a totally sadistic grin, the new kid tells him to mute his mic, joking that the neighbors are going to report the noise. Forced into silence by sheer terror, the kid tries to swallow his tears when he hears he will lose the whole hand if he doesn't shut up. Kang Min readies the lethal piece, perfectly reciting the exact model and stats of the hardware. Shaking uncontrollably, the kid listens to the dark warning that this barrel doesn't shoot rubber. With the barrel shoved in the rival's face, the pro coldly announces he is swapping to live ammo now. Completely mentally broken, the psycho mumbles, trying to process that his HP is actually at risk. Staring down the dark barrel, the kid cries, begging the pro not to hit the delete button on him. With 0 mercy, the MC pulls the trigger, creating a heavy, terrifying metallic click. The shooter dives to the floor, crawling away on all fours and screaming for his life. Watching this incredibly embarrassing escape, the new kid complains that it took the target way too long to hit the eject button. Silence takes over the wrecked kitchen once the absolute freakout finally ends. Adjusting his hood so he doesn't get doxxed, the operative notes the kid should have used his escape strat way earlier. The hunt moves out into the lit, up-crowded streets of the city's nightlife zone. Down the block a bunch of flashy neon signs are fighting for attention, including one for a total weeb calf. A girl cosplaying as a cat is handing out flyers trying to pull random NPCs into the cat. Not paying any attention, the runner sprints by and violently shoves her out of the way. Tilted by the body block, the kid pushes her and curses while the worker lets out a terrified little meow. Sweating and completely out of stamina, the guy complains to himself, trying to guess when this chase sequence is going to end. His heavy footsteps slap against the pavement as he desperately tries to outrun the absolute boss monster tracking him. But the MC spawns right behind him with insane speed while the criminal screams, asking when this toxic chase is going to stop. The runner looks back, trying to negotiate a truce, but completely freezes when he sees how close the pro actually is. Right in the middle of a packed crowd, the big guy screams in absolute despair, asking what kind of bannable offense he even committed. He plays the victim card hard, claiming he got manipulated by the student and is actually the one getting scammed here. Bawling his eyes out, the psycho yells about how unfair it is that he is the only one taking the penalty for all this. Casually scrolling on his phone, the new kid trolls his panic, giving him props for having a massive stamina bar. He points out that the speedrun actually brought them to the exact drop zone way ahead of schedule. The young guy's phone syncs up with the massive public billboard on the street, and he officially launches the main event. A sudden flash lights up the plaza, flashbanging the runner for a second because of the giant screen. The guy slowly opens his eyes and is completely mind-blown by what just popped up on the massive display. Around them, the NPCs stop walking and point up, totally confused by the random stream. The crowd starts whispering about the sus clip, debating if it is some weird ad for a urology clinic. The psycho freezes when he hears someone in the crowd roasting the incredibly small size of the hardware shown on screen. Shaking like crazy, the guy goes into total denial, sweating bullets from getting publicly ratioed. Completely losing it, the kid screams at the entire plaza that the item on screen is definitely not small. Desperately trying to save his reputation, he claims he was just dealing with some bad RNG at the time. Hiding in the shadows, Kang Min has to try really hard not to die, laughing at how embarrassing his rival looks right now. Crying uncontrollably, the target glares at the pro and accuses him of being the hacker behind this massive leak. The MC just holds up his phone showing the live feed while the kid stutters, realizing it is totally true. The very next second, the pedestrian crosswalk light turns green, giving the go-ahead to cross. Then the traffic light starts flashing red right after. Sprinting like a total madman across the street, the repeater screams, demanding the video get taken down instantly. But suddenly the guy covers his own face and lets out a sound of pure terror. With zero time to dodge, he gets absolutely flattened by a massive truck speeding down the lane. The crowd on the sidewalk completely freezes, totally traumatized by the insane random event. On the giant screen, the stream keeps playing while the audio questions what just happened. The kid's profile pic lights up the street while the voiceover calls it an incredibly dumb game over. Panic sweeps the crowd as people scream to check if the guy's HP hit 0. Hiding in his hood, Kang Min watches the chaos, admitting to himself that he definitely did not script that ending. Flashing a low-key smirk, the operative accepts the brutal ending with literally zero regrets. From a drone view, traffic completely stops while people comment that it was instant karma and start calling for the medics. The sun comes up bright, lighting up the Anil High School building. In the hallways, the rumors spread like wildfire among the classmates. One student drops the crazy news that Jang Hyun-soo got completely leveled by a truck. Sitting at his desk, his bro confirms the leak, saying the clip is already all over the internet. Showing off the video, the kid jokes that the guy just unlocked the achievement for being the most famous dude in Korea. His buddy laughs, claiming the school just spawned a literal celebrity and they should be clapping. Sitting alone in the back, Hayeon cringes at the joke in her head, labeling them all absolute clowns. She holds her head, super annoyed by the crazy guy crashing her room yesterday. Rubbing her temples, the student mutters that she has a massive debuff of a headache right now. Kang Min's face pops back into her brain while she tries to figure out how her system crashed and she passed out. The terror of the guy screaming loops in her head, totally clueless about how the boss fight actually ended. Her only memory is some incredibly weird joke about Korean fridges. The girl connects the dots, remembering the voice claiming that home appliances are basically bulletproof shields. A dark flashback of that hallway shows a mystery NPC standing at the very end of the corridor. Muttering to himself, the figure notes that the girl finally rebooted and woke up. Slow footsteps echo as the guy asks if she is finally back online. Fixing his suit, the man admits the place is a disaster but tells her to just chill out about it. The suit guy stands with a cleanup crew, confirming they are already wiping the server clean. Adjusting his glasses, he coldly announces they are about to delete one more file from the area. He finishes by swearing they are going to totally format the girl's short-term memory cache. Back in class, the student looks up feeling like her save files are completely corrupted. Late night hits again, turning on the streetlights in the dead, quiet residential zone. Walking down the street, the EMS holds a super light plastic bag. The young guy sighs heavily, complaining about how insanely hard it is to score smokes at the local shops. Super tilted, he wonders why he had to set his fake ID age to exactly 17 years old. Still salty, the kid whines that a higher level would have let him buy his stuff with zero hassle. Suddenly, a super smooth voice interrupts his walk, greeting the kid on the empty street. The exact same suit guy from the cleanup crew stares at him and drops his actual real name. The MC turns his head, instantly suspicious of the guy, who apologizes for the sudden pop. Getting straight to the point, the suit brings up the massive billboard hack from yesterday. Holding out his hand, the guy honestly admits he was absolutely mind-blown by the big brain play. He flashes a shiny black card confirming he is an active member of the network guild. The operative's face doesn't change at all as he notes the target spawned at the exact right frame. Flashing a subtle smirk, Kang Min confirms that ganking the agency member was an absolute flawless victory. The memory of the chase in the viral video drop totally validates that his strat was perfect. The pro remembers that leaking the clip farmed an insane amount of drama in record time. The agent explains that the guild specifically recruits toxic youths, which definitely catches the kid's attention. Holding his shopping bag, the MC trolls, saying he just has a natural buff for predicting the meta. A hologram pops into Kang Min's head, breaking down the exact strategy to infiltrate the agency. The base strat required joining as a total noob and grinding the ranks step by tedious step. Super focused, the pro figures that strategy would require an insane amount of AFK farming, but the flowchart shows that the recruiters actually operate right at the top of the leaderboard. Because of that, this agent has a direct DM line to the guild's ultimate boss. The suit hands over the black card, ordering the kid to tag along with him. Grabbing the item, the MC accepts the quest, aiming to get fast-traveled straight to the final boss. The plot cuts to the massive doors of an ultra-luxurious penthouse swinging open. The room is decorated with a ton of super flashy flowers arranged flawlessly. Chilling near the light, a woman in dark lingerie plays around with some heavy-duty gardening scissors. With a perfect snip, she chops the plant and drops its scientific name right after. Inspecting the flower, the blonde notes that it is a super rare drop from Hawaii. She tosses the tool aside, maliciously pointing out the incredibly weird lore behind the plant. Sitting near his luggage, the kid listens to the woman claim the plant gives off major, nice glutes. The assassin fact-checks her, and she immediately blames the AI for giving her fake news. Her face drops, the jokes instantly shifting into serious mode and saying she has a priority alert. The tool hits the wooden table, making a heavy thud in the quiet room. With zero warning, the woman yoots the blade right at him, complaining about players joining the lobby unannounced. The metal slices the air and pins into the wall, proving the host is zero chill. The MC dodges while holding a file, complaining about her totally unhinged hobbies. Leaning against the wall, she asks about his flight to Korea, and the kid just asks to crash there for a bit. Trying to troll her, Kang Min jokes that he only sleeps on people's laps, instantly getting ratioed. Dropping the sarcasm, the blonde glares at him and demands to know the real objective of his drop-in. The guy flashes the file, reminding her that HQ always hooks them up with forged accounts. He tosses the intel on the table, pointing out that this time their strat was totally glitch. The document page shows the pro's actual face right next to his legit real name and spawn date. The informant scans the papers and listens to the kid swear that this mission is absolutely no joke. She tracks a butterfly flying by and confirms he is dropping his Ace of Spades gamer tag for this one. Staring at the fancy room, the dealer promises he'll have free roam using his actual ID. The kid stares at the floor, looking super skeptical, claiming this whole freedom patch notes is exactly what he doesn't buy. Standing near the plants, he points out he has deleted global tier bosses before and the loot was always just raw cash. The informant touches the leaves while the MC asks why zeroing some random NPC is somehow equal to his total account freedom. The woman stares back, saying the dev team at the top made the call and sending complaints will literally do nothing. Opening a heavy drawer, the woman notes that only fact-checked patch get officially released. Calmly pulling out the files, the dealer says the intel was faxed over for him to grab the second he spawned in. Kang Min grabs the papers, looking imprutters in confusion about the surprise drop. The woman checks her monitor, revealing that the target built his own massive criminal server. She explains the gang runs on hidden mini servers and they only managed to scrape a few usernames. Showing pics of the repeater and his squad, the main quest is for him to network with the lower level mobs. The pro checks the list, complaining they are all just high school kids and jokes if he is supposed to play tag with them. Squeezing the flower, the woman compares the gang to a pretty plant that has roots buried insanely deep. Sitting back and relaxing, the informant admits the enemy faction's lore might be incredibly dark. The scene jumps back to the current timeline under the dim light of the empty street at 3 a.m. Out on the street, the suit hands over the bag while Kang Min demands to be fast-traveled to a different coordinate right now. They stand face to face and the kid demands a direct meeting with the enemy guild's absolute top player. The street gets darker while the agent analyzes the student's incredibly ballsy request. Without blinking, the agent shoots down the demand, instantly calling it a totally broken idea. The kid grips his bag, listening to the guy say that using an aggro tone isn't going to buff his chances at all. Using his broken speed stats, the MC attacks, clarifying that he isn't just throwing out empty threats. The agent's eyes go wide, completely mind blown by the kid's god-tier attack speed. The street stays dead quiet, totally hiding the intense PV match popping off in the dark alley. The agent looks at his waist, realizes his loot was stolen, and angrily asks what the point of grabbing a fake piece is. Holding the tool, Kang Min jokes about the agent not even flinching while the guy mocks the cheap replica. Standing in the dark road, the cleaner keeps his cool and asks how the guy scanned the item's fake stats that fast. The kid narrows his eyes, getting super sus and waiting for a lore-accurate answer from the agent. Flashing a toxic smirk, the man argues that local students absolutely do not have access to premium hardware. He points at the revolver, explaining the weight is off and the skin is obviously a low-tier fake. The guy steps up, bringing up the sound of the spring, but the kid cuts him off, saying the tutorial explanation is dragging on too long. Lowering his gear, Kang Min shifts gears and says he just has one more quick query for the guy. The suit steps forward, aggressively demanding to know what the kid's actual endgame. Staring dead into the MC's face, the man demands to know the real reason he raided the gang's network. The assassin's eyes dart around quickly as he spots the rival's weird, totally silent movement. Jumping back from the jump scare, the kid complains about the spooky vibes and asks why he had to whisper right in his ear. Scratching his ear, the kid argues that the man triggered the event first, which the recruiter actually agrees with. Shown from a top-down angle, the agent tells him he will be waiting at the pinned location at exactly 2 in the afternoon tomorrow. Hiding in the dark, the guy mutters about how incredibly bizarre that random encounter was. The kid turns to leave, hearing the man mention the heavy smell of gunpowder coming from a supposedly fake tool. Kang Min walks away unfazed, totally agreeing in his head that the target has insane perception stats. The agent's clean fit basically confirms the theory that he is way more than just some black market vendor. The agent watches the kid dip, seriously overthinking the young guy's obviously high-level skill tree. Inside his dead, silent base, the pro concludes without a doubt that the agent is running a mercenary build. The overhead shot shows the room completely blacked out while the kid reviews the recent patch history. The uniform is still hanging there, being the only item actually rendered in the room's lighting. Staring at his gear, the cleaner confirms that the first stage of the quest was a flawless victory. The open luggage shows his laptop crunching the enemy guild's encrypted data. A wall absolutely loaded with weapons backs up the rumors that the gang uses underage players to grief the city. The kid's brain simulates different gigs, figuring out that the agency basically converts street PvP into raw crypto. The conspiracy board covered in pics and red string shows just how insanely complex the gang's skill tree is. Chilling alone in the dark, the pro immediately tosses that theory, calling it total fake news. Snapping a piece of chocolate in his hand, he whispers that the whole cover-up is super basic and lazy. Enjoying the snack, Kang Min roasts the dev team's zero-effort attempt at throwing him off the trail. Looking at the character sheets, the kid feels totally disrespected, wondering if the agency thinks he is a literal bot. The inside of the chocolate reveals a hidden capsule, perfectly proving his theory that the students are just hollow dummy accounts. The scene jumps back to the hotel woman, with the voiceover confirming the target is basically a massive criminal raid boss. Stretching on the floor, she declares that this is the true meta of the network in this region. The wide shot shows the woman confirming that their agency runs the exact same strats as the Assassin Syndicate. The woman smiles, explaining that in high-security zones, using low-level accounts is the only way to bypass the anti-cheat system. Staring at the ceiling, the woman admits the guild still has a ton of locked files even after the recent data leaks. Bending over, the dealer emphasizes how hardcore this is, pointing out the gang is basically the local server's version of Bethal. The memory of the suit agent flashes again, confirming just how deadly this faction's presence is on the map. Holding her stretch, she notes that the guild detected the MC's spawn at a completely broken speed. Back at base, Kang Min shoots down her logic, coldly arguing that their response time was actually garbage. The pushpin on the board highlights the absolute grind of the quest, where he had to check every single unlocked zone. The red strings connect the photo evidence in a massive sweaty attempt to figure out the game's logic. The silhouette of the guild boss stays completely untouched in the middle of the board even after his all-night grind session. Surrounded by low teardrops, the pro is getting massively tilted because he isn't getting any closer to the final boss. The blank profile pic pinned to the wall just says Lee San, confirming the ultimate target's gamertag. His finger presses the pill while Kang Min decides he has to speedrun the next phases to reach the boss room. With a heavy metallic clack, the kid loads a full mag straight into the piece hidden inside his school backpack. Messing with the old target's plushie, the operative grumbles that he could have farmed way better intel if the kid hadn't been completely flattened. The sun lights up a massive city building, kicking off the new patch of the cleaner's mission. The hospital TV is running a stream about the massive public billboard hack from the night before. The news anchor talks about the server admins struggling while the patient realizes the cops totally failed to ban the hacker. Hyun-soo is losing his mind in the hospital, blaming the absolute garbage tier police squad. Locked in bed, the criminal curses, claiming that he, an innocent player, got totally griefed because of that toxic hacker. Messing with the medical rig, the fake doctor trolls him, telling him to mute his mic because this isn't a comedy stream. The repeater asks what the hacker's endgame even is, calling him a completely unhinged troll. Sweating in pure fear, he adds that the hacker was a super high-level threat who was carrying actual firepower. The fake doc acts surprised that someone would have that kind of loot outside the US server, but the patient screams that he doesn't care. Listening to his rant, the guy acts incredibly interested in the server event. He leans over the bed, confirming that the patient genuinely has zero clue what the real lore is. Then the agent preps the needle, looking super salty because he thought he'd farm better intel here. Flicking the syringe, he announces that the kid has officially hit the level cap for adulthood. The dark liquid gets injected right into the IV line, while the guy declares this is the absolute end of the kid's playthrough. Dizzy from all the dialogue, the criminal demands to know what the doc's weird lore drop even means. Tilted, Hyun-soo claims the guy is super annoying and says he highly doubts his healer stats are legit. The IV bag shows the sketchy chemical dropping rapidly through the hospital tubes. The kid's brain starts buffering, trying to scan the dude's actual faction tag. Dead silence takes over the room, which is only lit up by the sun hitting the window. The fake healer points out that this game over is going to generate massive engagement for the news channels. A tragic wipeout caused by a healer's misclick while administering meds in a premium-tier hospital. He confidently adds that the disaster is going to be the top trending post on every timeline. Tied down, the young guy stutters, completely mind blown as his brain tries to process the words death and meds. The repeater thrashes around demanding emergency patch notes on what is currently happening in the room. Instantly, the heavy chains lock his hand to the metal bed frame with a massive clang. The criminal goes into full panic mode, spamming his escape inputs and screaming to be unbanned immediately. Terrified of the incoming ban, he calls the guy an absolute psycho and demands to know why he is getting penalized. Totally chill, the suit casually apologizes for forgetting to drop his intro cinematic. The kid pulls at his damaged arm as he hears the intruder is actually part of the guild that funded his account. The agent shows off the dark pin, flexing a crest made of clean geometric line. Standing in the shadows, the guy proudly confesses he is a member of the supreme faction known as Network. The lethal chemical completely overloads the patient's stats, making his blood vessels leak fluid uncontrollably. The room's lighting blurs out and the heart monitor starts screaming, forcing the player's system into a total crash. His arm twitches violently while the agent gives a graphic breakdown of how every channel in his body is currently flooding. The limb drops dead with 0 pulse, totally validating the monstrous debuff stats of the lethal injection. The fake doctor checks out the deleted plan, confirming that watching a live unaliving is absolutely peak content. The sun beats down on the packed avenue right in the business district. The MC reviews the logs, confirming the target would spawn right there at the exact agreed timestamp. Checking the clock on his device, he wonders why the server instance looks completely empty. Kang Min just camps there chillin' on the dead empty street. Suddenly, a totally exhausted voice yells his name from behind, proving some super sweaty kid finally loaded in. The cleaner listens to the hoodie kid apologize, claiming he is the official admin for Network today. The pro ignores the fancy title and trolls him, asking if that name means they are running on dial-up. The hoodie guy defends himself, blaming lag in his schedule, but Kang Min calls out his terrible manners, guessing he is playing on an NA account. The MC asks why the older veteran player didn't show, making it obvious he thinks this new kid is super sus. Denying any ties to scammy guilds, the kid tosses the car keys and admits his avatar's skin is pretty low tier. An insanely flashy white car pulls up next to them while the kid promises fast travel experience. Min's eyes go wide, totally shook by how premium this millionaire tier mount is. The kid literally pretends to lick the hood, proving that joining the criminal guild is the ultimate money glitch. The pro ignores the absolute cringe behavior and claims the main seat so they can start the escort mission. The massive vehicle tears through the city map at a completely broken speed. Riding shotgun, the suit guy screams his lungs out, totally losing it over the insane MPH. He grips the seat, completely terrified by the hyper-aggressive driving mechanics, and warns him about the massive hazard level. The ride merges onto the highway and the guy has a total meltdown, visualizing the game over screen if they crash. Totally locked in on the steering, the kid tells him to chill, claiming it won't be a wipe if they just get a tiny scratch. Keeping his eyes dead ahead, the rookie drops a cold warning that wiping out here would trigger an absolute nightmare scenario. He drops the lore that the first impact would yeet their hitboxes into the sky, totally deleting their skulls and bones. The hardcore story continues, explaining that the player would bleed out while getting violently dragged across the super hot asphalt, and he finishes by detailing how the next car in the convoy would finish the combo, sucking their remains right into the engine block. The passenger starts sweating buckets in pure panic from the dark lore drop and asks if the kid actually studies fatal crash physics. The MC locks eyes with his passenger in the rearview mirror, swearing his skill tree is 100% focused on human fatality. Staring at the road, the operative flips the script, stating that causing a fatal game over is literally his main class. The guy's jaw drops and his brain stops working for a second, trying to process the massive disrespect the driver just dropped. Rebooting his brain, the suit laughs it off, totally denying he knows anything about topics that give him the creeps. Min flashes the exact same smile and brutally reviews the guy's acting skills as absolute garbage tier. The chat goes completely dead inside the ride when the operative name drops Bathala and his insanely dangerous title, Ace of Spades. The hoodie dude freezes in his seat, sinking into an absolute state of pure terror. Completely mentally shattered by the surprise reveal, he stutters random gibberish, trying to buffer the intense dialogue. The guy's eyes scream panic as he begs the MC to repeat the dialogue line one more time. Checking the time on his premium watch, the pro trolls him, asking if he should have dropped his intro cinematic first. Doing a super polite bow, he confirms he is exactly the boss they have been looking for.